The Middle East, the fighting in Gaza has come to an end under a new peace deal. 20 living Israeli hostages have been freed and nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have been released. It's just the first step in a long road, but a monumental first step nonetheless. For more on the future of the region, we're joined by Eyre, Distinguished Diplomatic Fellow at the Middle East Institute and former member of the U.S. nuclear negotiating team with Iran. Alan, thank you. Good to see you once again. President Trump calling this a major diplomatic achievement, and I think most would agree. How central was his administration in brokering this deal?
Good morning, Chris. It was indispensable. Quite simply, it could not have happened without the commitment and involvement of President Trump and his team. How that played out? First of all, it took the U.S. administration and President Trump to put pressure on Israel to accept a deal. In addition to that, and I think far more rare for this administration was able to build an effective coalition, including Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, to put pressure on Hamas to accept the ceasefire. So regardless of what happens going forward, this administration has stopped a 2-year war that's killed over 68,000 Palestinians, 2,000 Israelis, and has destroyed or damaged about 75 to 80% of the buildings in Gaza. That's a very big deal. Yeah, and you look at Gaza, I mean, it is a hellscape right now, and they're obviously talking about the rebuilding process right now, which the president mentioned yesterday. He thinks that's probably the easy part. And I guess when you put this all out, to see, he's probably right. It probably is the easiest part after brokering, this deal and getting these living hostages returned to their families yesterday. What happens now? You mentioned that this applied pressure to Hamas to release these hostages. Who now takes control in Gaza? And does this mean that Hamas will drop the weapons and stand down, so to speak? Obviously, we know with a lot of these terrorist groups, they take on kind of a new form. And now that you've got 2,000, a number of Palestinian prisoners who are serving life sentences that are now free on the streets, a lot can happen. Well, Chris, we got here to a large extent by kicking all the difficult cans down the road. But the structure of this deal is you're either moving forward or it's going to break down. There's two main problems. One is the ceasefire has to hold, and that's a big if. And then secondly, you've got to generate some sort of momentum by beginning to implement the 20-point peace plan. Now, you mentioned Hamas. Hamas has not accepted that it will demilitarize. And already you see it moving violently against its rivals in Gaza now that Israel is starting to pull out. On Israel's side, Israel has already accused Hamas of violating the terms of the deal by not being quick enough in returning the bodies of dead Israelis. So this is a real Rube Goldberg device. A lot of stuff could break it down, and all the difficult discussions lay in front of us. Yeah,
so obviously a very tough road remains ahead. I guess first and foremost, the hostages being returned, that's the big takeaway here. Let me ask you about the Palestinian people, about where they go from here. They're talking about a number of $53 billion to rebuild. That seems a little bit on the low side when you look exactly just how decimated Gaza is right now.
Yeah, you're right. But the rebuilding, to an extent, is also a motivation. Many countries, to include Egypt, are eager to participate in the reconstruction of Gaza. But for reconstruction to happen, you have to have security, you have to have stability, you have to ward off the threat of renewed hostilities. So the first step is maintaining the ceasefire and building some sort of momentum, and more importantly, keeping everyone committed to moving forward. Because as I said before, this thing could die of inertia and get bogged down very quickly if there's not forward momentum.
Alan, thank you. Always great to see you. Love your insight. That's Alan Eyre from the Middle East Institute. We thank him for joining us as always. Well, be sure to stay with CBS News New York for the very latest on this peace deal negotiations. And you can also find our complete coverage on the ceasefire on our website at cbsnewyork.com.